What is up, guys? Lonehawk here today, and welcome back to Overwatch. In today's video, we're going to cover a topic that lots of players seem to struggle with, and that is countering Torbjorn. A lot of players seem to think Torbjorn is oppressive and overpowered simply because his turrets auto-aim onto them and are somewhat difficult to take out when you're using the wrong heroes. In today's video, I'm going to teach you the right heroes to use to counter Torbjorn from every class in the game, whether you're playing Assault, Defense, Tank, or Support. When you're playing Assault, the three heroes I recommend for dealing with Torbjorn are Pharah, Reaper, and Soldier 76. I picked Pharah because Torbjorn's turrets are stationary, and she can fly out of the turret's range and rain fire down from above, killing the turrets in a few shots. When you've successfully taken out the turrets as Pharah, if there are no enemies around, you can actually chase down Torbjorn and get yourself a pretty free kill. Torbjorn's primary weapon is very hard to land on enemies that are moving, and you're going to be flying as well, meaning you're going to be a very hard target to hit, and someone with low mobility like Torbjorn is going to be very easy for you to shoot down. If somehow he's about to escape, you can even use your concussive blast to knock him back closer to you, depending on where you are in relation to him. He should be a pretty easy target for you to take out. Soldier 76 is a good counter to Torbjorn for a multitude of reasons. For one, you will not have any problem landing your Helix rockets on one of his turrets, as like I said before, they are stationary. Upon using your Helix rockets, you can then place your biotic field and start firing your main weapon at the Torbjorn turret. You will out-sustain the turret if it's shooting at you, and then you can follow up and try to get the Torbjorn because you'll be on almost full HP. The final counter to Torbjorn when you're playing the Assault class, in my opinion, is Reaper. Reaper's a little bit different than these other two because instead of going for the turret as Reaper, I recommend going for the Torbjorn himself. Utilizing Wraith Form and Shadow Step allows you to get very close to the Torbjorn. When you're next to both Torbjorn and his turret, there's really no reason to not go for the Torbjorn. He has less HP and you'll be able to drop him much faster than him and his turret will be able to drop you. The reason I didn't pick Tracer is because Torbjorn's instant lock-on of his turrets counters her high mobility. She only has one ability that's good against his turrets, and that is her Pulse Bomb, which I don't actually recommend using on the turrets because it's more valuable when used on a tank or a clump of enemies. The reason I didn't pick McCree is because he doesn't have the flank potential to get close enough to Torbjorn to flashbang him and then fan the hammer, and his medium to long range damage won't be able to take out the Torbjorn turret faster than Torbjorn heals it, so you will lose that fight. I didn't pick Genji, but just know good Genji players can deal with Torbjorn. I just think it's more of a hassle than it's worth. It's much easier with these other heroes. At long ranges, your deflect doesn't do too much to the turrets because they have 300 health and their DPS is kind of low. At close range, you don't have enough burst damage like Reaper to take out the turret or the Torbjorn before they kill you, so I just don't recommend this matchup. When you're playing a defensive hero and you want to counter Torbjorn, I recommend either Hanzo, Widowmaker, Junkrat, or Mei. Hanzo and Widowmaker are both pretty self-explanatory. They're snipers who can deal more damage than the turrets can deal to them in a very short amount of time. You peek a corner, you shoot the turret, you reload, you peek a corner, you shoot the turret, and you repeat until the turret's gone. Or you could just go for the Torbjorn, given that you can both one-shot him with a headshot, which is also pretty effective. Mei is great against Torbjorn, not because she can actually kill him or the turret with ease, but she can use her Ice Wall to negate its effects. When Torbjorn's turret is ice-walled, it doesn't actually do anything for him, it just sits there. So your team can push up to the objective or to an area where the turret can't even reach, therefore rendering it useless. And the last defense hero I like using against Torbjorn is Junkrat, simply because you can hit him without his turrets hitting you. You can lob his frag grenades over cover or bank them off walls, allowing you to hit his turret without him hitting you. If you do this enough, you'll annoy the enemy Torbjorn and he'll focus on putting his turrets in locations that you can hit rather than locations that are useful to his team, therefore once again making him kind of useless. I didn't pick Bastion simply because he doesn't have any hard mobility, he also has no shields, so by the time he puts himself into sentry mode, the turret has probably already started shooting at him and you're in a pretty vulnerable position, so I wouldn't recommend doing this. The reason I don't pick Torbjorn is because we're trying to counter enemy Torbjorn's turrets when they're already set up. If you're trying to set up one of your own turrets to take out his, it just won't work because it will start shooting at you while it's level 2 before you can actually upgrade yours. Now let's move on to the tanks. The best 3 tanks for dealing with Torbjorn in my opinion are D.Va, Reinhardt, and Roadhog. As D.Va, you have 2 ways of dealing with Torbjorn turrets. The first involves using your defense matrix to shield teammates behind you who will then shoot at it and take it out, or move to a location where the enemy turret can't even reach. The second method can be done all by yourself. It involves using a combination of boosters and defense matrix depending on where the enemy Torbjorn turret is, and then taking it out up close where your fusion cannons do the most damage. Reinhardt's going to take a little bit of teamwork, but not much. All you have to do is shield off the turret's pretty low damage while a teammate behind your shield shoots it to take it out. It works well with Hanzo, Widowmaker, Soldier 76, and more. Winston is amazing at taking out Torbjorn turrets, and a lot of people somehow don't know this. All you have to do is use your jump pack to get really close to the Torbjorn or his turret, and then place your barrier projector. The barrier projector will soak up all of the turret's damage and a lot of Torbjorn's as well, hopefully resulting you in getting either the turret or the Torbjorn. Whichever you get first, the other one will follow. Roadhog isn't good against Torbjorn because of his low mobility and low range. By the time he gets close enough to kill a Torbjorn turret, he's most likely taking a lot of damage, and the Torbjorn and his turret are still both at full health, so there's not much you'll be able to do as they both repeatedly shoot at you. Zarya isn't good against Torbjorn for the same reason. She lacks mobility or long-range damage. Sure, she can fire her explosive charge to deal with turrets, but it usually won't be enough, so I don't recommend using her. None of the supports in this game actually go well against Torbjorn's turrets. However, 2 of them enable teammates to go well against them, so we'll list them first. Those are Lucio and Mercy. Lucio can use his speed boost to help heroes with low mobility get much closer to the Torbjorn turrets where most of them need to be to take them out. People like Roadhog and Zarya become a little bit more effective when combined with a Lucio and his speed boost. Mercy goes okay against Torbjorn because she can heal a teammate while they're taking damage from the turret. This healing will enable many heroes to outsustain the enemy turret, allowing them to take it out with relative ease. Zenyatta and Symmetra both get destroyed by enemy Torbjorns, so if you're playing either of these heroes, avoid them at all costs. Zenyatta has very low HP, so it won't take long for a Torbjorn's turret to take him out. Symmetra has almost nothing she can even do against the turret. Her low mobility and low health make it impossible to get up close, and her long-range fire mode is very unreliable and slow. She can't do much to an enemy Torbjorn. Before we go, I have a few brief general tips for dealing with Torbjorn, as well as the ones I gave that were hero-specific. My first tip is, consider just going past the enemy Torbjorn turret. This doesn't always work, but sometimes enemy Torbjorns place their turrets way too aggressively, and you can just run past them onto the objective without them even hitting you much. My next tip is, remember that if you kill the Torbjorn before the turret will remain until it's destroyed or he switches heroes. So don't forget about it. Make sure you take it out after you take out the Torbjorn. My final tip is don't try to mess with a Torbjorn or his turrets when he's in Molten Core. During this ability, Torbjorn and his turret both gain massive armor and damage, meaning you really just don't want to mess with them. When an enemy Torbjorn uses Molten Core, I recommend just avoiding him or putting up a Reinhardt shield or just trying to avoid taking the damage. You can take him out after the ability is over. And that concludes today's video. If you feel like you can counter Torbjorn more effectively now than you could before, be sure to leave a like down below and maybe share it on your favorite social media platform. I will see you guys all later. Lone Hawk out.